education is political. Education is never neutral.
Refugee children in Malaysia are still excluded from the national education system. What do you think that message sends to all Malaysians about who we think deserves to learn?
Education is conditional. There are conditions to who gets access, who deserves quality education. Every child matters, irrespective of who they are,
Right.
where they come from. It's about every child getting the opportunities that they deserve. Quality education should be made available to them. There are also those who are in the school, but they are not getting the opportunities that they deserve because the curriculum is one size fits all.
Welcome back to another episode of Life Confessions. Another great guest joins us, and this time we have Hema Letchamanan. She is the Senior Lecturer at the School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Leisure Management at Taylor's University, Project Leader of the Night School as well under Taylor's Education for All Impact Lab. Hema, you do it all.
Thank you, Terry.
I'm guessing sleep is the one thing you don't do based on all the work that you are involved in. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've dedicated your career to shaping the way future educators think, teach, and lead. What first drew you to education as a lifelong pursuit?
Actually, it was pure chance. I was, as many young people can probably relate, I was lost, moving from doing mechanical engineering to software engineering. And then I got a scholarship to do a Bachelor of Education in the UK. And I took it because of UK.
Right.
And who doesn't want to go to
not?
UK? Why not, right? Yeah. So, and when I started my my bachelor's degree there, and I visited the schools there, which were very different to the schools that I've been to, the schools that I studied. And that is where I saw the difference in terms of education, in terms of teaching, how teachers teach in classroom, how teachers speak to students. And I fell in love with teaching, and I thought, I'll come back and do something here.
Did it surprise you that you fell in love with teaching? Was it not something that you'd even considered before?
No. I mean, my parents said, I don't know if they're lying or they're telling the truth, but they said that I've always wanted to be a teacher when I was young, but I have no recollection of this. So I can attest to it. But yes, it did surprise me. And I think I've stayed in teaching. I started as a primary school teacher and then moved on to teaching in university now. But I've stayed on for as long as I have because of one thing. Every time a child or even a young person learns something or realizes something, you see that light in their eyes, and that light has inspired and motivated me to stay on.
Wow. So it's like, and you see this happen over and over again.
Over and over, yes.
Every time you see that understanding that happens in someone that you're teaching.
Yes. And I see that with the Orang Asli children that I teach. I have taught street children in Nepal, and where there's absolutely no resources. And, so you have to make do with the environment, whatever that's around you, to be your teaching aid. Your tools. And when they finally get it and they go that aha moment, that's the satisfaction that money can't buy.
Tell us about the most interesting experience you've had teaching in the multiple different places and schools that you've been to.
I think the one thing that is the same is that learners are always curious. Children are curious. Even young people, they're always curious. And how do we use that curiosity, to get them to learn? And that is the challenge. For me, that's very exciting, because how do I tap into that curiosity to get them to ask questions, to get them to learn, to get them to finally have that aha moment.
And get it to grow. Get it
to, education is all about believing in yourself, raising your self-esteem. That's what learning is, right? Knowing your self-worth. And teaching is not just imparting knowledge. And especially in this day and age where information is at fingertips, teachers are not needed to impart knowledge anymore. Teaching goes beyond that, right? Because you don't need teachers to tell you.
You can learn it on your own.
You can ask ChatGPT,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, that's a separate story. But teachers and teachers come in to get you to think, to get you to question whether what AI is telling you is true or not. Don't just accept it as face value. Be an informed citizen.
So it's not about getting the information anymore. A teacher is there to show you what to do with the information.
What to do with the information, yes.
And at Taylor's, you wear multiple hats. Senior lecturer, project leader, mentor to countless aspiring educators as well. How do you balance, theory of learning and then practicing it, and empathy in how you prepare students for the realities of today's classroom as well? How do you make this soup of education?
I teach my students through real stories. Real stories of children whom I work with on daily basis, of real classrooms. I take them out to visit real classrooms out there, and I show them what privilege is, and that not everybody has the same opportunities. And I think this is universities' responsibility. In Europe and in the UK, universities are gearing towards what you call as third mission. Being purposeful learning.
Okay.
So, how do we get students to find purpose in their learning, which goes beyond just grades and your CGPA? What's your contribution to the communities, the immediate environment that you live in, your contribution to the society? And as teachers, and teachers to be, because I train, student teachers, it's very important that they realize of different communities that are out there, communities which are vulnerable, disadvantaged in many ways, and what can they do? And all of this, yes, you can teach the theories, you can teach them poverty, you can teach them, inequality, injustice. But until and unless they themselves see it, theory is just going to remain something abstract.
Right. It's to see what they learn in the real world.
It's to apply the theory into practice.
Right.
And for that, they need to go out of the classroom to see it.
Would you say it's also an opportunity for them to see what they'll be doing in the future? Like, this is what they learn now, and now they're looking around them, you're bringing them out into the real world, so they can imagine what they're learning and how to then utilize it in the future when they become a part of a community and they're working in the community, right?
Yes. And even to do it now, so you don't have to wait until you graduate, until you start working. But now, what can you do now? With the little time that you have, everybody can do something, right?
Expanding the classroom.
The classroom. So using the skills that they have already to see how that can also benefit other people.
So it's so holistic, almost like. Do you find that the relationship between educator and a student now has changed compared to previous generations?
It has. Like I said, we are not there to give information because information is readily available out there. And what our relationship with students is that we are there to empower them to understand themselves better, to have their agency, to have their voice, to be able to decipher what is wrong, what is right, and also to get them to contribute. So you have these skills. You've been learning so many things. How are you using them? What are you using it for? How is this benefiting other people?
Right. In your experience, I mean, we've learned from multiple sources, whether it's online or whether it's been interaction with this current generation of students, that they generally seem more comfortable speaking about mental health, their own mental health, generally speaking about the state of mental health support among their peers as well. In your experience, is the mental health crisis that we seem to be facing among university students more about academic pressure, or is it something more deeply rooted in, issues that are internal, like identity, purpose, belonging? What have you seen?
I think it's a little bit of both, really. There is also, of course, academic pressure, pressure to succeed, pressure to get good grades. But there is also the sense of belonging, the isolation, because when everything has moved digital, which is great, but what it also does is that then you don't have many friends, you don't have people around you to talk to, right? So there is a lot more students that I've met who said that when they don't have that many friends, they don't go out. So it's coming to class and then it's going home, playing games. You have online chat with, people in the virtual world, but not with real people, So it's a little bit of both that has caused this mental health issues. And of course, during COVID, where again, isolation has, caused immense mental health concerns. And even post-COVID, that people are still struggling to cope with it.
Yeah. People seem to, on that note, there is this sense that of moving on, that many even parents seem to feel like, oh, it's over, let's just move on, when there are still residual impacts of what not just the students went through, but all of us went through during the pandemic season that we went through, right? Or as some of the students will tell me, the pandemic era, this word that they seem to use in every aspect now while they're dealing with it. So how as an educator do you support them through this?
So at Taylor's, we have very good counseling support. And, we also at school level, at department level, we encourage students to, to tell us if they have any issues and, not to feel alone. That they're never alone in this journey. So there's always somebody to support, and they have to reach out. They only have to reach out, and we can guide them to different support. It's also about sometimes tweaking assessments to suit students. Whether it is mental health or any other, concerns and challenges that they have, and how can we support them in terms of learning? How can we support them, if the assessments that have been designed, are not something that they can cope with because of their condition. So there has to be a certain degree of flexibility in the curriculum also to be able to adapt and to meet the students where they are.
Right. When it comes to the perception of which student struggles when it comes to mental health, there is this opinion of many people that it's mostly the students who are high achievers and those who are struggling that struggle the most with mental health, that the students that are in the middle are the ones that are coping best. Is this a fair opinion?
Not necessarily. You can have mental health concerns among high achievers, average, and even the low achievers too. So mental health is not something that is unique to just high achievers, which is a common perception because then there is once you've got your straight A's, then there is a pressure to continue getting the straight A's. But there's also the pressure with the average ones because you really don't know what you're doing. You're getting decent grades, but you don't know where you're going. That loss, sense of loss, sense of no direction.
That so many of us felt when we were that age.
Yes.
Now coupled with all the modern issues that are added to that pool of issues that are.
I'm not special. I'm just average. I'm doing okay, but. what keeps me going, you know? There's nothing that's driving me.
Yeah.
And so you just wake up and there's just this monotonous life, and that causes mental health. You know, that causes a lot of pressure and stress.
You mentioned purpose earlier, and that is a key factor in finding that balance, to know that what you do serves something,
Yes.
right? A place for you to belong. Do you think our current higher education system genuinely empowers students to thrive, or is it still stuck, you know, just measuring success through narrow definitions like grades, employability, and prestige? Now, this is speaking widely, you know, about education. Yeah.
Now, I think universities, I know Taylor's for sure, but I definitely other universities as well, have moved beyond just grades and employability to purposeful learning, to service learning. A lot of public universities in Malaysia focusing on service learning, so contribution to the communities, which is what universities are. You know, they don't exist in silos. They're not ivory towers. You know, so universities' main purpose, you know, should be to address the needs of the society. So through this is how you empower students, you know, to finding their purpose. You know, why are they in the university? Yes, to get good grades, to get a job at the end of it. But what else? How else can your experience be curated to maximize your learning, which doesn't just come from lectures and tutorials, but through interaction with other people.
Right. So again, it comes back to that holistic approach.
Yes.
More education, more institutions of higher learning need to take. That old way of thinking that it's just cram, exam seems to be exactly like it sounds, outdated. There needs to be more to it than that. Even though that is still a part of the education life of a student.
You can't you can't escape from exams. That's for sure. As a student, definitely there will be exam, but there are also alternative assessments, project-based learning, you know, problem solving. You know, assessments that are coming out, you know, so there are various ways of testing, you know, students, the same thing. So it's not purely exam-based. And when I was in university also, you know, I participated in a lot of activities like this. And I think that was how I got into working with refugees in the UK. That was my first experience working with refugee children in the UK. And I did my master's dissertation research on refugee children in Malaysia, and that has led me to starting the night school project because I saw the gap in there, and it was just not me. So many of us, my friends included, who participated in so many projects and activities outside of our classroom, which has shaped the way we are today. Our values, our life, our perspectives, even
decisions that you've made for your career have been affected by the way you were educated, right?
Yes.
You mentioned the night school. You've trained over 60 refugee educators through the night school. Tell us more, like for a person who may not know what the night school is, tell us about what the night school is.
So we started the night school 3 years ago to train teachers of refugees in Malaysia, so that all refugee children can get quality education in their learning centers.
Now this happens at Taylor's.
So it happens at Taylor's,
right.
And also online. So there are a mix of physical and online classes.
Right.
So it's called the night school for that very reason. It happens at night mostly, the online classes. So it's a weeknight class that teachers join us. It's an elongated program of 6 months long, and we keep it that long because we cover the core foundations of teacher education, like pedagogy, assessment, curriculum, technology, using technology in learning, trauma-informed learning, and also social-emotional learning, which are all key components of teacher education.
Right.
And the teachers of refugees go through a series of classes and also school visits, mentorship. So it's a completely 360-degree experience for the teachers who come in and stay with us for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What pushed you to initially take on this cause, and why is there a personal reason why you've taken an interest in it?
So I started working with refugee children and teachers of refugees for about, I think, maybe close to 15 years now.
Wow.
In Malaysia. And there's one story that has stayed with me throughout when I interviewed a teacher, a refugee teacher, many years ago as part of my master's dissertation. So he said that if he goes out and washes plates in restaurants, he would earn more than teaching in the school.
Wow.
So with that very little salary, and of course they also have family. They have children that they have to support, their own children that they have to support.
Right.
But still, they come back and teach in the school, in the learning center, because they see the value in education for refugee children and the hope and the sense of normalcy that only the learning center can give, because when your life has been disrupted immensely, more than any one of us could imagine, because we've never been part of that, experienced conflict of that nature, war of that nature. When your life has been, disrupted at that scale, education is one way to give that sense of normalcy back, right?
Right.
And
routine.
That sense of routine, so seeking asylum in Malaysia, moving away from everything that to a completely new place. So the children need that education. They need quality education, and there are not that many teachers there to serve these students
Within their own community.
within their own communities. And so these teachers show up despite the low stipend that they get. It's not even a real salary, so it's more like a stipend that they get. So despite the low stipend, despite the many challenges, despite the trauma that they themselves face, because many of them are refugees themselves,
Right.
so they too have gone through that trauma, and they carry that here, and they have to put that aside, because when they come into the classroom, they have to deal with the children's experiences, the children's trauma. And I thought they're doing amazing work, but with very little support. And what's the best way to support them is to give them that, the educational background, the teacher education foundation, so that they're better prepared in the classroom. And that's the reason why we started the night school.
It sounds like it's such a gratifying experience for a person to be able to get educated, to be an educator, a better educator for this particular issue, to go into their own community, or even for a person from the outside to enter and make a difference in the lives of these children. Have you heard stories of what the kids say about the experience that they've been through, thanks to the night school? Yes.
So, when the teachers come in, they learn new ways of teaching. Fun ways of teaching. So how do you make maths fun? And I'm saying specifically maths because a lot of people, complain about maths being, difficult.
You are preaching to the choir.
So maths being difficult, maths being stressful, maths being not fun, right? So we teach the teachers how to gamify maths lessons, with little resources, So because the reality is that many learning centers have limited resources. Right. So how do we conduct science experiments without science labs? Using resources that are available, home ingredients that are available, right? And so that students not just learn from textbook, but they can also do some hands-on experiments to really understand science concepts. And when these teachers go back and implement the strategies and the techniques that they have learned through night school, students suddenly find learning is fun. Students suddenly find learning is much more engaging, and they get excited and they look forward to learning.
Right, they rediscover, or some rediscover, but some discover for the first time
definitely.
that learning can be something that is fulfilling.
Yes.
You know, refugee children in Malaysia are still excluded from the national education system. What do you think that message sends? What message does that send? Not just to them, but to all Malaysians about who we think deserves to learn.
The message that it sends is that education is conditional. You know, so there are conditions to who gets access,
Who deserves
education, quality education. You know, and it also looks at how you know, inequitable education is. That you know, not everyone has opportunities, you know, to get quality education.
Right. And resources are always something that are also an issue. Some might say the refugee crisis is too big or political for educators to solve. What would you say to that, especially given your lived experience doing this work on the ground? You've been there among the community, right?
Education is political. You know, education is never neutral. But what I can say to educators is that, you know, every child matters, irrespective of who they are, where they come from. It's about every child getting the opportunities that they deserve. And education should be made available to them. Quality education should be made available to them. And what I see in the ground, you know, day to day working with not just refugee children, but with orang asli children, with children from, you know, low income families, Malaysian children from low income families, is that there's this disparity in terms of education, right? Disparity in terms of not just access. Some people have access to education, to schools. Some people don't have access. So in the case of refugee children, they don't even have access to the school. But there are also those who are in the school, but they are not getting the, you know, the opportunities that they deserve.
Right.
You know, because the curriculum is one size fits all. So, you know, students who are, you know, behind in certain, you know, areas are not getting the support that they need, for example, right? So, so one is getting everybody into the school. Right, passing the school gate, and then what happens after that? You know, how do we ensure everyone thrives when they're already in there? So that's the other question that we have to ask.
Because getting a child to a school is great.
It's the first challenge. So we overcome that, and then what happens after that? Are they learning?
What happens in the building?
What happens in the building? Are they learning? Are they being given the opportunities that they need?
Right. And one of the factors that will contribute to that education would be the educators themselves. What do you think is the most dangerous or worrying mindset you think educators in training walk into your classroom with? And how do you help them unlearn this? Like, do they come in with these perhaps misconceptions or perceptions that you feel need some sort of correction?
I think the perception that they come in is that teaching is not too difficult.
Oh.
You know?
They think it's going to be easy.
They think it's going to be easy. So some people think it's going to be easy, and that's a misconception that needs to be addressed in the beginning, because otherwise they in for a disappointment. You know, teaching is never easy. You know, and more so now in this day and age, teaching is getting more difficult, and I found that because, you know, I was this one of these straight A student, you know, during my undergraduate days, right? So I thought, well, I've got, you know, all the theories. I've learned all the theories, you know. I've aced it. And then I'm in this classroom in a Felda in Pahang, coming back from the whole UK experience. And I was like, what do I do? So I literally had that question when standing in the class with 30 students staring back at me, and I go like, what do I do? So the reality is a lot more challenging.
Right.
And the fact that we are responsible for so many lives, and I say this, you're literally responsible for so many lives, because teachers can either make or break a child.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a huge responsibility, and it's not something to be taken lightly.
How do you bring these educators in training to the realization that they need to prepare themselves? It is not easy.
Well, there's only so much that we can say. But of course we also have internships. So, and I see students coming in the first semester, second semester, who are very optimistic, who think that this is not too difficult. Engineering is probably more difficult than teacher education, right? And then they go to school and they observe things. And now they are seeing themselves as a teacher. They're no longer a student in the school, and suddenly they've got there's a shift in perspective, and they come back and when we talk about it, and they go like, oh my God, I didn't realize this when I was a student. Which is a good thing that they're realizing it while they're still in that safe space of that in university.
You've heard this happen multiple times.
Yes, multiple times.
What's your reaction to them when they come to you with this realization that you have known all along already at this point, right?
Well, I obviously try to keep a straight face and talk to them, but but it's something that I laugh inside and say, oh, well, good that you've got this realization that so many things. They always come, oh my God, Miss, you would not believe it. This is what I saw. How come I never realized this when I was a student in the school?
Right. And on the inside, you're like, yes. Now you know.
Yes. Good that you know it now.
What's your greatest hope for the next generation of Malaysian educators? What do you want to see?
It's about I think what I would like to see is them having the skill to adapt. It's an important skill, I think, for all of us, especially for teachers, because we are living at unprecedented time, from the pandemic to AI. We are reimagining education, and a lot of things we are learning as we go. There is no template yet for a lot of things, and so teachers have to have the skill to adapt, to teach children, their students, to better prepare for that uncertain future. So because there is no template, it's so
adaptability is so important.
It is risky. It is because there's no tried and tested method yet. So teachers have to constantly learn.
And what's your biggest fear for them?
That they will burn out.
Oh.
So they go in with a lot of optimism and ambition, but sometimes the environment isn't supportive of people who want to empower, people who empathize, and that can cause burnout.
And for them to keep going, having experienced this setback when they join the actual working world, to be able to hold on to that spirit of wanting to be a better educator when it feels like the people around you or the environment isn't actually conducive to that. Wow, very eye-opening. We've come to the rapid fire questions part of this conversation. So whatever comes to mind first, it can change. You can change your mind later on in life.
Right. Okay.
This is how you're feeling today.
Sure.
Okay. First question. Academic excellence or emotional intelligence more important?
Emotional intelligence. Learning can't happen otherwise.
Right. Traditional classroom or community-based learning?
Neither.
Oh.
Can I explain or is
Sure, please explain. Please do. I need it. We need the explanation.
I think what is important is an environment that is student-centered, that is context responsive. So we have to meet students where they are, not where the system wants them to be. And for that, we have to create ecosystem of learning. So not silos like traditional classroom or community. So it's neither this or that.
Right. Again, it comes to that ability to be flexible and for like the educator themselves, the system itself also needs to be molded to fit what or be flexible enough to fit what a student needs.
Yeah.
Definitely need an explanation for that one. What's the most underrated trait an educator should have, in your opinion?
Humility.
Oh.
The willingness to listen. Sometimes all students want to is just somebody to listen, not to lecture or teach, just listen.
Which happens quite often.
Yes.
What's the one phrase you wish people would stop using when talking about refugee education?
Yes, I think what people should stop saying, or some people should stop saying, is that, well, it's enough. Whatever that they are getting here, it's enough.
You hear people say it a lot. They should be grateful.
It's enough what they're getting here. They're getting something. They should be grateful about it. Education is a right. It's not a privilege for some.
Right. If you could bring one change to teacher training programs in Malaysia tomorrow, what would it be?
To get students to learn how to be adaptable, to be flexible, and to create, to be teachers who can teach a generation, prepare a generation for the future.
Right. What's one book that you think every aspiring teacher should read before they graduate?
Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire, one of my favorite. Still powerful, still very much needed.
Okay, I may need to read this book as well. I'm not an educator, but
you should.
Okay. And this is the final question for the rapid fire question. Oh no, that was the last question actually for the rapid fire. This is this last question that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
Put yourself in the shoes of our Prime Minister for a day. Let's say you are Prime Minister of Malaysia for a day. What would that change be if you could make one change, and why?
Just one change.
Just one change.
There's so many changes I want to make.
Strike everything out of the list is the one change that you could make.
I think let's focus on education because that's where I come from. I think that one change that I would make if I were the Prime Minister is to do a system-wide recalibration. In education, you can't just do one change and expect everything to change.
Right.
So it's systemic, right? So the recalibration has to happen at every level, right? From the policy, we've got a new blueprint that's coming up, which is great. But the implementation of that blueprint, the curriculum, new curriculum that's going to come in 2027, and then, to teacher training, to students, to resources. So it's one. I think I'm being greedy. I know you said one change, but I'm trying to put in everything
into
into
it. One thing is to review the entire system. That's the one thing you do.
Yes. So it's to recalibrate the entire system. That's the one change, yes.
Spoken like an educator, you managed to get everything you wanted with the one change.
With one thing, yes.
With the one change. Well, thank you so much for enlightening us today on, the state of education and also the students now, the way they think and how we can better support them, and the great work that you do for refugee children and educators as well. Thank you so much, Hema, for joining us today.
Thank you, Terry, for having me.
And we will see you in the next episode of Life Confessions here on the Syok Podcast.